I can't believe I'm saying this. I know we've got L-Rock coming up next, but folks, good morning, GDQ! My name is TempestMask1000. Some of you know me as Steve, and welcome to what will be my first ever GDQ run. This is such a great honor and then some to present to you a game that has never been shown here at any of the events before. This is Castlevania from 1997, the same year as Symphony of the Night. Folks, please keep this in mind for a little bit of something later that's being going down the run. Before we get started, I'd love to make a quick shout out to the Castlevania community. In fact, we have like 10 runners within this leaderboard. So if I could just quickly read those people that have helped make this game faster. We have Sarzak, Sashka Gaming, Nes Kamikaze, Ildizog, Bobby, the one and only, Rayquaza 911, Agent Wyvern, very good friend of mine, Uchi, and the current world record holder, the one and only Jupiter Climb. With that in mind, folks, we are going to be running any percent standard mode, which is a simple mode that, as usual with any classic Vania game, I will have to collect orbs to upgrade my whip. And if I die, we gotta get starting back from the rope whip and then some. It's pretty simple as that. Light mode, it's just a permanent level 3 whip. Commentators, could you please introduce yourselves?
I'm cypherin, part of the Castlevania community through Super Castlevania 4. Happy to be here supporting Steve and can't wait to see this run get knocked out.
I'm LOZ Cards fan 23. I have run Castlevania 1, 2, and 5 years ago I ran Castlevania for MS-DOS here at SGDQ, and I know that Tempest Mask is going to knock it out of the park today. I'm looking forward to this run.
And you, my fledgling.
And as you can tell, I'm Leon Recon 2, and I'm currently being trained to actually run this very game, and I'm hoping that here within the next few months, I'll have my first listing on the leaderboards, being number 11 to run this game.
Heck yeah. All right, before we start, I want to make a quick couple tributes. The first to my controller right here. This is a Sandland keychain for my mentor, my inspiration, Akira Toriyama, who we lost early this March. And second, a shout out to the overall Castlevania community, to Furious Paul, who we lost in early April. Paul was a runner of Castlevania 4 for an SGDQ, or I believe it was either AGDQ or SGDQ in 2015. Paul, while I didn't get to know you all too well, the community loved you, and so I'm doing this one for you, man. All right, folks, I can't believe I get to say this, but could you please count me down from 5 together? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Sorry. Okay, I had to get that one out of the way for the Phoebe Hive. Shout out to Jogabogi. All right, let's go. So, if you are familiar with the Castlevania classic style, all you need to get down is, this is pretty similar to the usual gameplay of stuff and things. We've got a Belmont strut going on, so walking speed is not as fast as you normally would make it. But we do got some nice damage boosts going throughout this game, and then some. Jumping is a bit different, though. So this is Sonia Belmont, and she is actually the first and currently only Belmont with, or rather, female protagonist within a Castlevania game to have Belmont within her last name. I'm not sure why Konami never followed up on this in any further protagonists like her, but regardless, unfortunately this game is non-canon. This was supposed to be the origin story of a Belmont clan as main member, like the initial member before Leon Belmont happened. And so Koji Igarashi deemed this non-canon to then be able to work on his story, because he also felt like something that happens within this game's true ending doesn't quite work out so well. But yeah, back to the general gameplay logistics. I'm gonna have my commentators talk a little bit about that, if you could please.
Okay, so see that meter that says B right down there? Everybody thinks that's the boss meter in this game. You know, most Castlevania games, you would probably assume that. But nope, that meter actually represents a blazing mode. Or what does blazing mode do, you ask? Well, it makes Sonia here not only temporarily invincible, but she also moves much faster, and when she makes contact with the enemies, they take damage.
Alas, the only thing about that is you only get one per life stock. So sometime during this run, we may see some intentional deaths, so that way he can recoup that blazing meter.
Of course, there is one drawback of that. Anytime you lose a life, you lose all of your heart. So you got to use the management wisely.
And in this game, the end of a level will not tick down those hearts. So there's actually an advantage to keeping those, especially considering that our sub-weapons are not necessarily sub-weapons, but soul weapons. Cypherin, could you talk a little bit about those, please?
So yeah, with the soul weapons, as you come up to each of these bosses, in typical Castlevania games, you get dropped an orb. You get dropped an orb, and that's pretty much it, the end of the level. But as you beat these bosses, you're going to get additional power-ups, these soul weapons that'll let you do additional moves or speed up your movement, things like that impact that blazing meter that was talked about.
Disclaimer, it is actually called burning mode, but we, the couch, have decided that blazing sounds a little bit cooler. So
because we're trying to get through this as fast as possible.
We're blazing through it. Come on now.
Well, another thing too is, as you probably have noticed, he just picked up a chicken leg, not a whole chicken. In this one, wall chickens are not a thing. Instead, we have a delicious KFC.
Candle meat is another alternative that I like to use for them. And this actually was something present within the first Game Boy game, that being Castlevania The Adventure, featuring Christopher Belmont. That one had hearts, though, for HP recovery. So funny how that game did it before Castlevania, or Bloodstained, rather. Hey, folks, I'm going to pull something from X-Men, if you will. So we have my friend Metroid Master in the back couch, and as a shout out to him and L-Rock, who did X-Men Arcade Co-op, we're going to do a Colossus Roar for every time that I pull out Burning Mode as Sonya. So keeping that in mind, I would like the chat to please play along as well. Also, I apologize if that might have scared some of you or caught you off guard. That was not my intent.
Or hurt one of your ears.
That too. All right, so we are coming up to the first boss of the game, and that will be the Creature's Bat, or as I like to call Man-Bat. This is going to be a pretty simple fight where I want him to try and fly as close to me as possible. It can be determined by positioning, it can be determined by RNG, it depends on which he goes for first.
It could also depend on what you've done in Gotham.
That is also true.
Swear to me.
I'm here for justice.
Yeah, this bat is definitely not the Cape Crusade.
Yeah, totally not Batman, or as I like to call him, Batman from Temu.
Here we go. Okay, that was a little bit unoptimal, but that's okay. A little quirk with this game is that you can pass through enemies and not take damage from them if they are in the middle of their iframes. However, I will say that you are seeing me at the level 3 whip. Okay, this is actually a little bit dicey. Let me see here. Okay, good. I have to play that just a little bit safe.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Orb!
All right, so far so good. That's the first out of 5 levels down. I will say there are actually 6 in total. However, unfortunately, I have not been given permission to indulge you in it today. So you will all have to find that for yourselves. In fact, I think this is as great a time as ever to talk about the platform that I am playing this game on. So, because this is a non-canon game, it's easy to see why Konami overall just skipped out on putting this on any of the anniversary collections. But in last year's case, we did get the first modern port ever, which is on the Game Boy app for Nintendo Switch. As such, anybody that has a basic Nintendo Switch Online subscription can play this for the low price of free.
Which beats paying $200 for a physical copy.
And I feel like a lot more developers should do this with hidden gems. Capcom recently did it with their Game Boy Classic Mega Man games. Thank you for that, by the way. I love those titles so much. Can we give a round of applause for that? All right, so this is level 2. I like to call it the dance hall because we're in a bit of a waltz right here. We're gonna come across a few armored knight enemies coming up, and the first 2 that we see here, well, they like to charge at you after 3 going back and forth patterns, and so I just need to destroy them to destroy some spikes that'll be covering my way. And that's basically it. Spikes deal how much damage, LZ?
4!
And that is the worst kind of damage you can get in this game, by the way. At least to my knowledge. If there is anybody that has discovered a way of taking 5, points of damage. Please feel free to let me know. We're gonna just start using our, whoa, I had a bit of a runner's moment there, excuse me, folks. And yeah, we are starting to use our first soul weapon of the game, which is the wind element. And LOZ, I've got a daily double for you. So how much would you like to wager?
I'm not soft, Tempest. Let's make it a true daily double.
So what do you normally use the power of wind for?
Well, the power of wind is what the stopwatch would normally do, is that it would stop time, and it costs you 5 hearts.
And that's good for double your value.
All right.
All right, folks, second verse. We're gonna take it from the top in 3, 2, 1. Oh! All right, so like I said, we're generally faster in this mode. Burning mode is very, very useful for just trying to get through those long hallways, but combine that with the stopwatch and we can especially take care of some enemies. I'm trying to be careful, by the way, with rope climbing because as it were with classic games back in the day, you have to be holding onto the rope in order to go downward. Otherwise, if you fall, it'll count as a death pit and that's never fun. And I do want to assure you, if we do take an accidental death, I have ways of getting through this, no problem. I've been playing this game as a speedrun for at least nearly as long as I have been a speedrunner, which by the way, middle of 2020, it's been quite a long ride since, and I picked it up ever since graduating. So quick shout out to my college, Ramapo College, you all rock, and I actually had my very first in-person speedrun marathon there with the help of some friends from the Gamers Club. If you'd like to check out Roadrunner Speedfest, feel free. I'd love to do it again as well. That said, being here at an in-person GDQ means so much to me. And it would also mean so much to me as well if JD, you could give me some donations.
And it means so much to a lot of the viewers at home. Tempest, you're doing an amazing job. We have $50 from Omega and Tinctora.
Hey, let's go.
That's right. Tempest, this looks like a really interesting Gungrave game. Greetings from the back couch. Donation goes to Runner's Choice, which I believe would be that upgrade to 100% for Virtual Boy Wario Land, right?
That's correct.
That's
we gotta
right.
get that happening, folks,
Let's
please.
absolutely make that happen. So folks, remember to add that incentive when you make that donation. And did you know that that $50 also supports MSF in getting clean drinking water for 736 people for 1 week? Big impact.
Okay, so we took an unfortunate death to that pit. I have to say it, folks, that's never happened before.
Never happened before.
Well, that trick is also is tricky to do because in this game, how knockback works is whichever way you're facing is where you get knocked back, correct? Or is it the opposite?
Oh no, it's the opposite of where
opposite.
you're facing.
Okay.
By the way, a
Wait.
little callback to Castlevania Legends where the orb spawns the enemy.
The end adventure, actually.
Yeah.
Previous. All right, we got ourselves the Death Dragon, or the Zombie Dragon. A bit of a staple in the enemy, and a very well-designed one at that. This fella's pretty simple, though. RNG will determine whether the fireball shoots in any of the 3 head angles, rather, I should say. And it'll also bring the ceiling down. Orb! The ceiling tiles do the least amount of damage, so those are preferable to take damage checks from and all that jazz. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly switch out of that weapon. So we did, Okay, so that was an accidental misfire. 1 to the counter, if I will, metaphorically speaking. That's okay, though, because we took that death. I guess I can just get away with getting another one going. Leon, this game is pretty gracious about its game overs, isn't it?
Oh, very, very. Let's just say my first ever playthrough, I accidentally did a whip-only run because I did not realize that, hidden up A uses your special items.
Yeah, it's just how it goes sometimes, folks. But let me assure you, we're still here to have a good time. And all things considered, I may be deficient of hearts to try and use the stopwatch, but hey, no worries, we'll just build it back up shortly, or however quickly is feasible, I guess. So I will try to take a little less of damage boosting for that, and we'll just be on our merry way. So those are Tower Guardians. I used to call those Lizard Men just because I guess that's how they looked, and never really had a good read on the official name of the new enemies.
So-
like this one, which is apparently called the Flying Wolf.
My friend actually says he looks a lot more like Ridley from Metroid.
Kind of does look like Ridley.
Kind of a little bit.
So effectively, you're saying we've entered a dragon's lair.
Yes, where's
Yeah.
Dirk the Daring when you need him?
Also, speaking of which, idea for what those enemies actually are, I think they are the cousins of the Battletoads.
That's almost cruel. Why would you? I mean, no, that's fair and all, but like, why would Rash, Zitz, and Pimple have to go descend from those things? Those are.
Well, that's why they're the cousin. They just
Cousins?
They never got their own game. They were just like, hey man, we got jobs as enemies. So,
Intentional death, folks. We're fine. Hey, sink it in the hole right there. Okay, so let's just rebuild a little bit, because let's see. That room right there was where I was supposed to use burning mode. So yeah, that was intentional. I promise you that much. Unfortunately, we are going to have to make our way to the closest power-up orb, because the rope whip deals the least amount of damage within the game, which is like, I guess 1 hit's worth. So the Morning Star whip would be 2 hits worth. And then there's the fireball, which that was a bit more unique to the Game Boy games. So if you're familiar with how that all plays out, the fireball is good for long-range stuff. However, it only deals as much damage as the rope whip itself. Now, the game is not behaving, but third verse, here we go. Oh my God. I think, which one of you went way too hard on that one?
Probably me.
There's no such thing as too hard.
That's fair, JD. I approve of that message. In fact, I would also approve if you could give me some more donations.
Absolutely. We've got $20 from Hype Beast.
Let's go.
It says, good luck, Tempest. Whip this run into shape. Let's fight for trans-Palestinian rights.
Let's go. All right, so I'm just going to need a little bit of quiet time to pull off a nice little potential trick for you all. This is a bit of a treat from Strizer86's task run. Okay, that's fine. Let's see if that works. Okay, no, I'm going to try that again just a couple more times. It's looking a little dicey on damage, but that's okay. As long as I can manipulate those ghosts, we'll be mostly okay.
So I feel now would also be a good time to mention, as you've probably noticed, there is a lot of dead ends in this game that purposely waste your time. Like there's practically nothing at the top of them and make you have to backtrack all the way. And as you can tell, these enemies do hard respawns.
Okay, so we're gonna have to take that's unfortunate, but oh well.
Part of that is searching for some additional, I think, sub-items or so, like on the different branching paths. Is that right?
It could, because admittedly, that's the whole idea behind the collectible items, as you might have seen in that menu. I'm just gonna say what I was trying to do right there. We're gonna just, it is the same room, so I guess I could go for it one more time if I really wanted to. But that trick right there is me attempting to do a bit of a camera scroll. So let's see if I get it one more time. I'm just gonna need a little bit of serious time, if please.
Yeah.
We got it.
There we go.
There we go. And folks, pay attention to the screen right now, because you're gonna see stuff spawn down. And that gear right there looks a little bit stuck. It's supposed to move. The idea is that if I manipulate the camera just right, it'll stay there and I will never have to worry about missing that cycle whatsoever. But you know what they say, sometimes swag is simply time neutral, and that was the case here. So, oops, okay. We're gonna try that again, because we can go back down a room and just do a little bit of this just to get on this gear and not have to wait for that again.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because fun fact about Game Boy games, they tend to go a little slow.
Just a little.
Just a little
Just a little bit.
Don't mix it up though. The Game Boy was literally one of my first ever handhelds.
The Game Boy is still goated.
I have so much nostalgia for this one. It's funny because one of the first games I ever remember playing was Super Mario Land.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Funny how they put that second though after 6 golden coins on the app.
Speaking of 6 golden coins, what about that Wario Land?
That's true. How are we doing with that incentive, by the way?
We are over $500 to that incentive. We've got to make it to that $7,500 goal. So we've got some distance to cover. And actually, I just got a donation that goes to that incentive. If I could go and shout it out.
Please go.
We got $25 from Ellie Jelly that says,
Hey!
Yeah,
Hey!
I played this game as a kid, but didn't remember that it existed until an hour ago. that wasn't in the donation comment.
Right. Continue, please.
Didn't remember that it existed until an hour ago when I saw Tempest playing in the practice room. Grats to Tempest to getting this neglected classic into the marathon.
Thank you so much, Ellie.
Yeah, also, hi from the back couch.
Yeah.
And the incentive goes to Runner's Choice.
Folks, thank you for all the back couch being present here today. It means so much to me. So many familiar faces throughout the...
Really?
Like, seriously, this means so much. Like, it is one thing to have to wake up early in the morning for some Castlevania, but let me tell you, this means so much to me. And I know there are so many people watching it too. And I'm sure a lot of communities as well, whether it be live or not. Like, again, I have been speedrunning for at least 4 years, and I would like to give some very early gratitude to just a lot of the speedrunning events that I have taken part of. Starting in 2020 gave me the idea that there were a lot of online marathons, and eventually it gave me the first confidence to take my steps into that. So I would say shout out to the first marathon I ever got to do from the Source Runs community, called, I believe it was Source Runs Marathons. It's funny how that can happen, and yet wonderful community in itself. All right, so we have Medusa. She's wielding a sword.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit dangerous. I think we usually tell our children not to play with sharp objects.
Nice.
And by the way, Sonya is the one responsible for bringing all Medusa heads into Castlevania games. You saw that one floating away.
Sonya.
Curse you,
Curse you, Sonya.
Shout out to my friend Ashma, who was the first one to come up with this. All right, fourth verse. All right, so we have a bit of an interesting thing, a fun fact with this level. I know we have Grand Poo World 3 on the schedule, which I believe is being run by Mr. Mighty Mouse. This song was actually ported into Grand Poo World 2. I can't remember if it was either composer or Dan the VP or whichever of the folks that had worked on that soundtrack. But when I recognized this being used in a Reznor fight eventually, I was like, oh, that's a nice coincidence indeed. So, fun fact for you all. And yeah, we are going to take our first, what would have been intentional death in this room right here. And this will also be the second time that I'm going to attempt the forced screen scroll, which, by the way, again, shout out to Strizer86, fellow Castlevania community runner, and the very person that effectively helped us eventually put the 100% standard mode category on the leaderboard, because for the longest time it was just any percent. Oh, that was sorry, I was talking that I completely forgot what I was gonna do. Okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, no. Unfortunately, one of the biggest things about knockback is that it will take you off of this thing, so let's try this one more time. And this is not as important to get, like I feel like the first time I really just wanted to do, but okay, that's good enough. But let's see if the intended effect that I wanted comes out of this one, because I don't believe so. There's a specific height that I want. Okay, fifth verse, folks. Whoa! Okay, so the knights will still fall down on the platform, except for one that's about to go exit stage left right there. So yeah, that's always the fun part. If I got that just right, though, all of them would have done that. And now we've got our boss. Folks, it is everyone's favorite Dompier. Here's Alucard. So
Not from Helsing.
Oh, not from Helsing at all. Yeah, no. But shout out to that one too, who apparently got to become an operator in a certain war zone.
Which
Fun.
the whole point behind this fight too is is pretty funny and generic. It's like,
Ow!
Hurt me.
But yeah,
he literally comes up to you and says,
Orb.
"Hey, I'll know orb."
Orb.
I'll take the blame on that one.
no, you're fine. Keep going.
But
Leon.
basically, Alucard just looks at you and says, "I don't think you're ready." No, I'm totally ready. Okay, then fight me.
Exactly. Because as we all know, every anti-hero has to face off with the hero in a test of might. Seriously though, the fact of the matter is, I think they put him in the game because Symphony of the Night had just come out. And Casey Nagoya, the development team of this game, which, mind you, did not work on Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge, or The Adventure for that matter, shame really, they They did not. Okay, that's fine, because we were only at the beginning of the level. And again, that would have been a level where I would have eventually wanted to take a Death Abuse to regain my burning mode.
Yeah.
However, that I believe we can call Butterfingers. So just a little bit of time lost, nothing really to it.
Which I'm pretty sure there is definitely an intentional death in this level as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I mean, Leon, it's in the hallway of no return.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. I will say this much. We do have one more nice little trick that I'll try to show off when we get to the Minotaur mini-boss fight. I can't guarantee it'll work, though it does require a bit of particular timing with the final soul weapon, the Saint Soul weapon, which I guess we could finish explaining those. So fire, it deals normal damage to all enemies on the screen for 5 hearts. Next verse, folks. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Okay, moving on. Right, so fire deals damage to all enemies on the screen for 5 hearts. It's just normal damage, though. It's not particularly useful. The hidden final soul weapon is magic, which is just, it erases all enemies on the screen, a better version of fire. And then the water or ice element, depending on which localization of the game you play, that's 20 hearts, but it does a full heal. Now here's the thing, folks, I speedrun Mighty number 9. And as I would know with that game and its full heal, you can pop this full heal even if you're at full health. So try not to do that, pretty please. It's never fun. All right, here we go. So 1, 2, boom. Okay, no, I didn't quite get it. That's okay.
So unpopular opinion, I really think this guy looks like a knockoff Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain.
I would agree with that, because Konami did, I mean, after all, Konami did do the Turtles games.
That they did.
So I forgot to mention that KC Nagoya here, they never really developed a Castlevania game, so this was kind of their first attempt. And unlike how it was with the 64 team that would go on to do Circle of the Moon later on, they never really got a second chance. Now, admittedly, they also had worked on the Symphony of the Night Saturn port, so I guess that's something, but yeah, Koji Igarashi, I don't necessarily say I would blame him for wanting to go his own way. However, I would also agree that Sonia Belmont still has quite a bit of potential. She actually was supposed to be in a Dreamcast game that sadly got canceled called Castlevania Resurrection, which you can play the open beta for, which I believe was supposed to be for a show, either an E3 or something like that. But yeah, we are going to take our final Death Abuse in the last checkpoint of the game. So, as we make our way to Dracula himself, can I pass it on over to the host?
Actually, this is really pertinent. We have a $25 donation from Sushi Elemental that says, Dr. Acula to the boss room. Calling Dr. Acula. Please come to the boss room.
Shout out to JSR. All right, we can definitely get, can we get as many donations as we possibly can onto this? I would be very happy about that, actually.
Yes, let's absolutely get those donations coming in, and don't forget to put that toward that Virtual Boy Wario Land upgrade to 100%. We are eking up closer to that 7,500. We've got $10 from Killer Chair supporting MSF saying, Tempest, my boy.
Chair, my man, thank you so much. Shout out to my friends at BSG. They are some wonderful people, let me truly say. Shout out to folks like Rekelt and all them, Killer Chair, and just all other friendos, Yatogami, and I could name so much more, but unfortunately I cannot.
Yeah, so much. Killer Chair continues to say, good to see you running for GDQ. You're killing it. And you are. Let's hear it for Tempest, everybody.
Yeah.
Folks, I need one final shout, please. Oh! And hopefully that'll be the last time too, because if we die, we're gonna go all the way back to that checkpoint. Yes, we are.
That is what he was referring to by the Hallway of Doom.
That's correct. Okay, JD, we need just maybe a couple more donations, pretty please.
Absolutely. We have a $10 donation from Magius that says, hey, Tempest, how many times must Dracula die before he finally understands the answer to what a man isn't just a miserable pile of secrets, but someone who's always willing to help others as well? Sorry, it's after 6 a.m. here, so couldn't think of anything to make you all laugh, so I'll just say it from the heart. It's been a long time coming, but you've earned this one, man. Now go out there and wipe the floor with Dracula and show everyone how much skill you really got.
Thank you,
Mage.
Magus.
Hey, man, those are just shower thoughts. Nothing bad about that.
Mage is a longtime friend of mine and a speedrunner of all sorts of licensed games. Dude really knows his Macross and then some. All right, folks, we already just easeled our way through Dracula Phase 1, so we are going to go into Phase 2, enjoy a little bit of a redo of Vampire Killer. Time will be on the final hit, so let's see how this goes. This could be a little dangerous, though, so let's try and be as careful as possible.
Good dodge.
Yes. Time!
Yeah, all right!
And that's a PB! PB!
Very nice.
Congratulations.
Let's heckin' go. Y'all have no idea how nervous I was going into this. Seriously, the honor of showing this game for the first time for the event is just crazy and then some, but like, I'm so happy all the same. Like, seriously, folks, feel free to speedrun hidden gems. You never know what you'll find out of them. I always have this little eye for games like this, and let me tell you, the amount of memories you can make with them is astounding. All right, so I'm gonna let my commentators get their shout outs out of the way first, and then I'm gonna bring it on home.
All right, I guess I'll start. I'd like to thank everybody back at home, those who are watching. You know who you are, too many to name. I also would like to thank everybody in the Soaring Sloth community, because if it wasn't for them, I would have never met Tempest. And I would like to thank Tempest himself for showing me the ropes on how to do all this stuff. And honestly, it's life-changing. So I'd like to thank everybody.
And shout outs to my community, Studio LOZ, and of course to the Knott's Berry Farm.
Shout outs to Michelle Knotts, voice of Jesse ever since the Battle Frontier
That
series.
is how I met Tempest Mask, and it's been a privilege to watch you run this game today, and congratulations on getting a PB. Well done. And one other thing, shout outs to my mom, and also I'm wearing my Twins jersey to honor my dad who passed away a year ago, and he was a big Minnesota sports fan.
Love you, LZ. Thank you so much. Cypherin?
Again, great job. Awesome, tribute to Furious Paul again. Just for those of us who had a chance to interact with him, for you to get a PB in a run dedicated to him, I think that's awesome, and just a fantastic job to you. Thank you for letting me be part of your couch and just witness it.
You're such a very good friend of mine, seriously. I appreciate you all so much. Folks, I just want to say this much. As a 4-year speedrunner, I will say, I take this as nothing but a beloved hobby of mine, which we can do so much good with. I want to say, I am someone that is on the autistic spectrum, and no matter how many challenges I've been through in my life, I'm grateful to at least be as close to neurotypical as anyone can ever be, because it has allowed me to make so many good memories with so many people that I have the privilege of calling friends through the speedrunning community. I really can't stress enough that there would be so many events I wish I could shout out right now. I'll name a few: Calathon, Midwest Speed Fest, Fast Pace events, Speed Docs, BSG, UKSG, all sorts of groups out there. If I was involved with you, then just know I'm thinking of you right now. And let me tell you, anyone can speedrun. It's not a matter of the fastest time. It's not a matter of what game you're doing. It's not a matter of if you're doing it for an event. It's a matter of having fun. Anyone can learn to speedrun, and I highly implore you to do the same, because you never know what you'll get out of it. GDQ, thank you so much for having me. Woo! And with that, I will say, I hope we'll meet again one of these days. So until then, I'm gonna learn Mega Man X7. Let's go!